Hey guys, so I'm back with another video, and today I have a Bath & Body Works haul. A few candles from the newest floor set for the $15.95 sale, and I was actually lucky enough to get a 25% off coupon in the mail, so I used that on some of that. There's also the new Love Cacao Rose I'm really excited about, so I have that to talk about. And then finally we have a small little online exclusive haul as well, and we'll combine that into one video and get into it. Let's see, where do we start? So the first one we have is Fresh Lemon Waves. That's that right here, and that's what that looks like. It says Summer Citrus, Orange Vanilla Blossom, Surfside Breeze. At first I was like, what is Fresh Lemon Waves gonna smell like? Is it gonna be like a clean citrus type of lemon fragrance? But when you go to smell it, it's like so much more floral than you would imagine. I love that. It's like totally not appropriately named, but I'm not mad at that. But I think the reason they call it Fresh Lemon Waves is because it is so floral, so they kind of want to like disguise it in something that's a little bit more marketable. But this is very similar to like your suntan type of fragrance. It's not exactly suntan, but very similar, almost like that sort of like baby powdery, creamy, lotiony, like sunscreen vibe is most certainly apparent in Fresh Lemon Waves. That's very similar to like the suntan type of fragrances. It's also similar to, if anybody remembers, was it Vanilla Blossom or Vanilla Beach Flower way back when, which were some of my favorite fragrances. It was basically like the Rainforest Gardenia mixed with like a creamy vanilla. Very similar to that. There is definitely a little bit of a citrus in there, but it's definitely more of like a white, heady floral in the like realm of like a orange blossom type fragrance. And I love it. It's like so beachy and tropical and just like old school BBW tropical floral that I love. That I'm really into it. It really reminds me of like Vanilla Beach Blossom, but with like a slightly more citrus twist to it. But still very heavily heady white tropical floral. So I'm really excited for this one actually. So I was really jonesing for this one. The other ones in this collection, I think they're all repackages, but there is a Paradise Cove, which is actually new, but I smelled that in store, and I also smelled it burning at someone's house, and it's like 100% a repackage of flannel, like literally like smells just like flannel. Even has like the thick rope-like wicks that kind of like start nubbing out like even at the first burn. Like they don't have like massive flames on them, which is exactly how my like most recent flannel that I bought from BBW performed, literally like flannel, which is kind of insulting that it's like flannel is very much a fall into winter fragrance, and now all of a sudden it's Paradise Cove. It just doesn't match the naming at all. But yeah, I even smelled that one burnt, and it smelled like just like flannel. So if you are looking for flannel during the summertime, Paradise Cove does exist. So kind of weird there, but just wanted to point that out. The next one we have is Butterfly, which I was excited to get this one because I do like the body care fragrances, and that's what that looks like. This one has the gold lid on it. This one is Raspberry Nectar, Iris Petals, and Airy Vanilla. I already reviewed the shower gel, and this smells very much like Open Sky. But when you go to, actually I already burned this one, but when you go to burn this, it's almost like a very sugary sweet raspberry that you get in a lot of like their like raspberry mimosa or pink prosecco frosting, which is pretty much raspberry mimosa, or like let's see what else is there, like raspberry citrus swirl, which is very similar to that sugar spring plum and blackberries. It's like that type of like sugared berry fragrance mixed with like a Open Sky base, so it's not quite as heavily like bitter petals floral as Open Sky is. It's a little bit more sugary sweet on that like sort of raspberry berry fragrance. But mind you, Open Sky also had blackberry and vanilla in it, so still very similar fragrances, but just a like sweeter take on it. It kind of smelled like I had like raspberry mimosa with Open Sky going in at the same time, and that's what kind of Butterfly smelled like. So that was that right there, and that's the packaging wraparound on that. We then have the unnecessarily overpriced $29.50 collection of this. I'm not quite sure what justifies the pricing on this, but there it is. I guess it's like slightly iridescent and it's textured, and it has a like texture lid on it as well. It says Candied Island Berries, Soft Rosy Dunes, Lemon Sugar, and Ocean Sea Mist. I kept going back and forth on this one, but I did eventually finally pull the trigger on it. And I haven't burned this one yet, but this is like a sweet berry blend. I think of like a strawberry like puree with a little bit of like a raspberry tartness mixed in there, mixed with like a lemon zest, a lemon candy type of fragrance that reminds me a lot of like the Unicorn Sprinkles candle, which is the same as Raspberries and Whipped Vanilla that's out right now. It smells a lot like that, but there's a slight like salty floral undertone to it. It's very slight, but it's in there that makes it a little bit different from just your usual super generic, like basic fruity fragrance. So this one's the one I'll have to burn to see, but it's not Flamingo Beach, aka Pink Sands from Yankee Candle. It's not that. This one I feel like is a little less like sharp and floral than Flamingo Beach is. It's a little bit more fruity. So I don't know, I was just intrigued by it, and it was $29.50, but I mean, I still did the $15.95 with the coupon, so there was that. So Pink Shores right there, and those were the 3 new candles. Was there anything else to talk about? There's a dew-covered petals or dewy petals or some kind of rain-kissed petals or something like that wallflower that apparently has very similar notes to rose petals and linen. So if you're interested in that, check that out. That was like a new wallflower that I hadn't seen before. And was there anything else worth talking about in any of the collections? I think that's pretty much it. There is, of course, a lot of new body care, but it was kind of boring. It was the Honeysuckle Peach Spritz, which is just like the candle, so it's like a ever so slightly floral but hardly peach fragrance. There's White Tea and Sage, which is a repackage, and then there's the Buttercups and Berry Bellini, but that kind of smells like strawberry pound cake with a floral note in it, which I actually didn't mind, but it had limited forms in all the stores I went to, so like there was no shower gel to be had. So there was that as well. And then moving on, we have what I was really excited about, and I redeemed 2 rewards for this, even though it is actually $6.50 today with the aromatherapy sale, but it's the Love Cacao Rose, and I got 2 of them because everyone's looking for love these days, but it's not always easy to come by. So thankfully Bath & Body Works packages it in a bath and body product for us to buy at the store. So I did get the body wash and foam bath and the lotion. I normally don't get the lotion, but like this one was one I was really really enjoying, so I was like, okay, let me get it. And this one just says, this comforting blend of cacao and rose essential oils inspires feelings of love, beauty, and confidence. That's what the back looks like right there. And I did use the lotion, and oh boy, is this, ooh, it's so juicy. It's very rosy and floral, which I love. I was kind of bummed that Love Rose Vanilla got discontinued, but this is a good, I don't want to say alternative, but a good predecessor, is that the right word? Or successor, is that what it is? Good follow-up to Love Rose Vanilla. Yeah, so you get a very juicy and like sharp floral rose fragrance. It's actually quite prominent for like a Bath & Body Works fragrance. Like the rose is very prominent, and it's really like has that nice perfumey, sharp, quintessential like rose perfume vibe. Even has slightly like matureness to it. So if you don't like those like old-fashioned granny roses, I don't think you're gonna enjoy this one, but I love that type of rose. So I'm all about it. The rose is actually quite sophisticated and mature for a Bath & Body Works fragrance. Like it smells very much like more of like luxury, high-end type of rose notes that you tend to smell. And it's absolutely delicious. But then at least on the dry down of the lotion is a little bit different from the shower gel. I feel like the shower gel is a little bit more rosy and floral, which I really enjoy, but there's a little, just a hint of a sweetness that comes from, I guess, cacao. There's like a warmth to it. And a little bit of a creaminess in there as well. It's still sweetened ever so slightly, I guess, by cacao. But it's not like overly like chocolatey or anything like that. So don't think of like chocolate rose macaron where it had more of that powdery like hot cocoa and cream texture. Not quite that. But then if you use the lotion and it dries down, there's a heavy patchouli note, which is very reminiscent of the rose plus patchouli blend that comes in Fireside Rose from that like failed test rose collection. So if you like Fireside Rose, this was a little too smoky and ashy for me, but they like kind of took a similar rose and a similar patchouli and made it a little bit sweeter and a little bit juicier and ever so slightly creamier. That's kind of what Cacao Rose is. And it's just like a very nice, like still prominently rose, but enough sweetness type of like sophisticated rose fragrance that I would expect to find from like a higher end luxury fragrance. Of course, the burning question is, how does it compare to Whipped Rose Latte right here, which you know I snagged this one. It's crushed rose petals, cocoa flower, and whipped foam. And when you smell this one's a lot sweeter and more like gourmand or cutesy, but still mature enough than Love Cacao Rose. The thing with the Cacao Rose one is the rose is a lot more prominent and just a lot more floral. So if you don't want too much of a like, you know, floral rose component, you might not like Cacao Rose, because I feel like the Rose is a little bit more toned down and made a little bit more palatable in the sense of like, it's more like the rose from Pink Petal Tea Cake rather than like a true blue, like mature rose is kind of like what the rose is in this. And this one's a little bit creamier and probably a little bit sweeter. Similar fragrances, but I feel like this version is more floral and more mature and definitely has more of a heavy patchouli note than like sort of the sweeter, creamier, younger sibling of Whipped Rose Latte. So actually, I still love both of them, but I remember when I first used this, my major qualm was that it wasn't rosy enough. So they kind of like rectified that issue and put more rose in this one. So that's why I really enjoyed this one. So yeah, super jazzed to have that. Girl, if there was a candle of that, I'd be all over it, but it does not exist. But I made sure to like put in my bid by buying both the lotion and the shower gel, and hopefully like, you know, it gets popular enough that they will maybe release a candle eventually. So there was that. Really jazzed about that. It's been a while since I've actually had a body care that I've been actually quite interested in from Bath & Body Works, so happy to snag those. Lastly, we have a small online exclusive haul. It was when the candles were that $12.95 plus 25% off coupon, so it was $9.71. You had to pay shipping, but there were a few online exclusives that I wanted, so I did finally pull a trigger on Vintage, which I already did a review on, so you kind of already know what my thoughts are if you've already watched that, but that's that right there. There's a whole slew of online exclusive fragrances for men's, and I've been getting into the world with men's stuff, so I was intrigued to smell this one because it's an online exclusive. You can't smell it otherwise, but there's like graphite in there, ocean, Atlantic is supposed to come, so is mahogany teakwood, and I think black tie as well. And I got Vintage, and this one is blue lavender, fresh pepper, and vintage wood. Ooh, yikes. Oh my god. This is so not up my alley. This is like not the cologne fragrance that I enjoy. Once again, Whiskey Reserve is the most closest to it. There's like a sharp, piquant, like tart sour quality to it, mixed with like an old-fashioned like musty shaving cream. But there's just something so like sour and tart about it that it smells kind of like old musty standing water. But it's still a cologne fragrance nonetheless, and it's still very masculine, and you still get a little bit of like a woodsiness in there for sure, and it's very peppery as well, in the same way like Black Pepper Bergamot was very peppery, as well as the original candle. So if you like any of those, you might want to check out Vintage. I think there was some chatter online that it was similar to Peppered Suede, but I do not have any knowledge of Peppered Suede, so I can't make that comparison. So that was Vintage right here. And I unfortunately redeemed a reward to get the shower gel as well, which I don't love at all. I used this twice. It's quite strong though. You can actually still smell in the bathroom the next day. And it's not quite as harsh as the candle was. Like the candle, I had to blow it after 2 hours because I just couldn't stand it. But it's not something I'll be really grabbing for. So Vintage is not a go for me. And then lastly, I really wanted this one forever, and it was coconut cream pie, but it was an online exclusive, and I've loved this ever since it came out in that like COVID test collection that we had. So I was like, oh my gosh, I really want this one again. And I think it came out another time, did it not? It made it wide in that like Wild Berry Jam Donut collection. Yeah, when that one first came out. Like the Good Day Cafe type of packaging, I think is when it came out. It's actually quite pretty though. Like I love the gold lid, plus the gold like thing right here, and the accent's actually quite pretty. There's toasted coconut flakes, caramel custard, and golden pie crust. I've actually burned this one quite a few times. I feel like it's not quite as strong as it was the first few times that I bought it, but it kind of like picked up at the mid-range point that I was like a little bit more satisfied with it. I still love this fragrance though. It does smell kind of weird or off on cold, to be honest, but when you go to burn it, it really livens up, and like I feel like this one's the one that you have to kind of like burn to actually fully enjoy. It's like this super creamy whipped coconut like custard, coconut like meringue coconut cream filling of the pie, and a slight buttery caramel component that evokes a buttery like caramel crust of the coconut cream pie, and it really does kind of smell like a coconut cream pie. And it's not like that like overly grody, like crayony, nutty, dirty smelling coconut that we tend to get in other coconut fragrances from BBW. It's very creamy, pleasant, and gourmand, and delicious, and fluffy and juicy and whipped and just like really delicious. So I actually quite enjoy this one. So I was hoping it was a little bit stronger, but it was adequate enough. So it was like very medium. So that was coconut cream pie there. I'm actually quite happy to have that one again. And I believe that is it for my haul. I think I had a Sweet Mint and Rain pocket bag that I did to do the minimum order on the Boppis rewards on this. But that's not anything interesting to talk about, so that's just in my bag. And I think that's pretty much it. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you watched the whole thing, let me know if you are interested in any of this, or like if you've bought any of them yourself, or whether or not you tried the Cacao Rose and if you enjoyed it or not. Let me know, especially my fellow rose lovers out there. You know who you are. Check out that one and let me know how you think about the fragrance. And I think that is it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.